Hey, you guys, welcome to She Knows Arsenal. We're going to be doing our player ratings for Arsenal for PSV nil in the Champions League. What a way to return to the. Of course, of course, of course. Always in the intro, there's always a mistake. But we start again. What a way to return to the best competition in club football, the Champions League, the top table, the place where Arsenal deserve to be. What a way to return to where we are supposed to be. Arsenal absolutely dominated PSV, a team that is top of their league, has won all 4 of their games, and probably came to the Emirates thinking, you know what? We can go toe to toe. We can go toe to toe with them. We can go toe to toe with them because we're good enough. And what did they do? They made a fatal mistake. And opening up against a team who, if you give even an inch of space, will absolutely destroy you. And that's exactly what Arsenal did. This was the best example of why teams sit back on Arsenal. Why in our first 5 games of the season, nobody has come out and play. Is because if you give Saka an inch, if you give Jesus an inch, if you give Odegaard an inch, if you give Trossard an inch, they will kill you. And we were so free flowing. We looked so good. First half, shaky. First couple of minutes, first maybe 5-10 minutes, we were a little shaky. But that's to be expected. It's our first time back in this competition. There's a lot riding on it. And we have a lot of players out there that are main guys that have never played in this competition before. So the nerves were expected. They were there. But after we scored that first goal in like the 8th minute, we definitely calmed down and you started to see more of the Arsenal that we know. And if we were lacking goals before, we were not lacking goals today. The goal from Trossard, the goal from Saka, the goal from Jesus. I mean, everybody in our front line got on that score sheet. And then so did Odegaard. So the front 4 was on form. They really were. Trossard had an assist as well. Saka had an assist. I mean, when we talk about like not clicking, this group was clicking. And this is also why it's so important to have Jesus in the team. You saw him popping up on the left. You saw him coming a little bit more deep. And that allowed Trossard and Saka to have more room to move, for them to connect and to confuse the defenders. And then we started to find those angles that have been so difficult to find over the last couple of games. I mean, what a way to return to the top table. What a way to return for Arsenal Football Club. And the game was managed perfectly from start to finish, from the starting 11, where, you know, obviously I still think that might have been a Tomiyasu game, but, you know, strong back line, strong midfield, strong front line, don't play games, win the game, then rotate, respect the competition, be humble, because we don't have the room to be arrogant. Go out there with a strong lineup, absolutely destroy them. And then we started to see players that we've been dying to see. Emile Smith-Rowe had a standing ovation coming out there onto the pitch. I think there's a lot of people that have been dying to see him play. And he played a really nice role in Odegaard's goal, which was really nice to see. But Arsenal, there's no other way to say it, but they were absolutely outstanding today in their first game in the Champions League after 6 years of being outside of the competition. And if this is, you know, an example of things to come, I am super excited for this season, because I think we are going to come against teams that are going to open up against us. And if they watch this game and they still open up, they have a rude awakening coming. But I am so excited to do these player ratings with you guys. And for everybody that showed up to the watch along, I had so much fun. You guys keep me going. You know, you guys keep me going. You guys are so amazing. And just before we go into player ratings, I just want to remind you guys that we have some things coming up on the channel. So just a little bit of housekeeping, if I can just talk to you guys for a second about that. Obviously player ratings, we're doing that right now. And then on Patreon, we have the Tottenham podcast, as well as the rewatch with James B from AFTV. And you guys loved him on the channel the first time, and you know his tactical insight is up there with the best. So if you guys want to join Patreon, you guys can. The link is pinned in the comment section, and it's also in the description. But nevertheless, if you guys can't afford it, or you guys just are not into Patreon, I don't care. It's fine, because we're going to have free content on here all the time. So no worries. And we're definitely going to do a rewatch of this game for sure. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see what you guys are saying. I know you guys are, you're just like, I know you guys are buzzing like I am, because like, I don't care how what kind of team we play, if we wipe a team aside and we score multiple goals and we get a clean sheet, I am a happy girl. James, Kevy Kev says James is on point. He is. He's a really, really good content creator and a really nice guy. Joe says Jesus was brilliant today as well. His hold up and link play was brilliant. And that's what he gives you up front, and there's different looks for different games, but Jesus for me is pretty much always the right player to play for Arsenal because he just unlocks everything. Ray says, I'll try to get to your watch along next time. Jess needed to watch this one alone. Totally understand that. Next watch along is going to be for the North London Derby. So hopefully you'll be available for that. Dale says, I had Saka as man of the match. Starboy scores his first goal, essentially sealed the deal. When the guy scores, confidence flows. And I have a poll going right now asking you guys who your man of the match is. And you guys may have some other people that you think, are deserving to be possibly man of the match. But I have Saliba up there, Saka, Odegaard, and Trossard. So you guys can go ahead and vote and get going on that. Saksham says, Raya, that's another conversation that we obviously have to have because I was shocked that he started the game. I'll be really honest with you guys. I thought Ramsdale was definitely going to start this game. Raya starts for the Spurs game, but the calm, cool, and collected that we had back there, he didn't encourage the opposition at all. No bobbles, no, bad playing out from the back, nothing. And he looked really, really good today. And it was the right choice. It was the right decision. James says, in terms of ball distribution, Raya outperforms Ramsdale. Ken says, Trossard, man of the match today. Emilio says, PSV is not good enough for Champions League. I mean, they won. They're one of the better teams in their league. So, what can you do? You got to play who's in front of you. But they weren't great. But I've seen us play against teams that are not good and allow them to be in the game. And Arsenal didn't even allow them to be in the game at all. And that's exactly how it should have been. Wilco says, Raya gave the ball away on more than one occasion. Yeah, but not close to our goal and chucking it into our own net. Like some of his long balls did go out of the touchline, but I do think that you can say that in terms of finding the fullback, his passes into our central midfielders to find space and then they find it wide, he was very calm and good on the ball. That's not to say that he never had a bad touch. He had one in the first half, I know for sure, and one in the second half. But if you compare that to recent performances from Ramsdale on the ball, I do think you can say that like Raya probably just edges it, that's just what it is. DV says some of his kicking was poor, to be honest. I don't agree with that. I think he hit some of them out of the touchline, but still comparing that to Ramsdale, who on a regular basis recently kicks almost everything out of bounds, he has no variation to his kicking, meaning I don't even think he's confident passing it into our midfielders anymore. In comparison to Ramsdale, he was very good despite having a couple of bad clearances, which, let's be real, you're going to have one or two in the game. So yeah, Saksham says, Bossard, let's go. Zanon says, Odegaard cooked differently today. When you give the guys, this is exactly why they don't give him space in the Premier League. That's why they put 4 defenders on Saka and Odegaard, because they know those two are going to absolutely destroy you if you have just one person on them. And PSV, they talk shit, they got hit. Okay, Odegaard was on it. He was so good. And that's the captain's performance that you want from him. Mark says, I think Ramsdale will start against Spurs. I think the game against Everton was to give Raya his first team experience for Champions League play, but that to avoid a goalkeeper controversy, he'll have to play Rams on Sunday. Let's see, because everybody told me Ramsdale would start today. I thought he would as well. Maybe Raya just gets a run of games. Maybe Raya just gets 6 or 7 games and then Ramsdale comes in. Maybe he comes in after the next international break. Who knows? I don't know what Arteta is doing, but it's interesting that I'm seeing people say that Raya had some sort of poor game or was poor. I can't see how you can say that I don't think you can actually say that. I think some people want to back Ramsdale, so they're trying to make it seem like Raya kicking the ball out maybe once or twice is, he wasn't. Y'all, be real. Jay says David Raya. James Bond says, "Hey Jess, sup? Hello, I am having an amazing day, hanging out with you guys, talking Arsenal. There's 300 of you guys already in here, which is absolutely amazing. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel." Olasun says, "Raya was just calm, not stiff of trouble." Not a sniff of trouble. Some of you need to get off your agendas and give the man his flowers. And I'm just gonna say the thing. Like, Raya was like, he was very, very good today. And it wasn't like he was like tested that much, but there have been games against really bad teams where we encourage them to think that they can be in the game by, not claiming crosses comfortably, making one or two bad passes in possession at the back, just kicking the ball out of touch over and over, not keeping possession. So I'm not saying Ramsdale is not good. I'm just saying that you cannot say that Raya wasn't really good today. So there you go. Let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty. Like I said, you guys be active in the chat. Let me know what you guys are thinking. We're going to do player ratings 1 through 10. I'll give you guys my rating, and then you guys go in the chat and let me know what you guys think. And then I'll put your answers up on the screen. So yeah, let's go. That's not the way we want it to look. We want it to look like this. Raya, what we thinking, y'all? Claiming crosses, early shots that PSV were getting, he didn't encourage them. So think about the shot that Odegaard took that probably the PSV goalkeeper should save relatively easily. He lets it bobble, and then Saka gets on the rebound, and then it's 1-0. Confidence shook, after they'd had a couple of decent opportunities early on in the game where Raya, it stuck to his glove. He didn't encourage them at all. And I know I keep saying that, but I do think that you make the other team think they're in the game by making little mistakes here and there. The margins are really fine at the top level. And I think Raya just had the type of game that a goalkeeper should have at this level for a team that's trying to win things. He's not under too much pressure, but when he is under pressure, he makes it look easy. When he's in possession, he makes it look easy. And so I think he had a very, very good game. I'm going to give Raya an 8. I think he didn't do much wrong, and I get that he kicked a couple of them out of touch, but other than that, he was good. Anton Dunn says 7, misplaced passing, easy game, so nothing crazy. Michael says some great moments, some shaky. Kafunso says the defense looked more confident with Raya. The Sheikh says 7. John P says 8. Let's see. Go ahead and get your guys' ratings in there for Raya. Just waiting for them to come through. John P says our squad is looking good. Big teams always have unhappy players on the bench. Big players will leave and more big players will come in. This is what I've always wanted for years. Let's see. Oh, I got them. Laska says 8. Roxy says 8, 9. Mark says 7. You what says 7.5. Kevy Kev says Raya is a 7.8 clean sheet. I like that. Paran says 8. Sam 2 says 7. Gaboyega says Raya had a decent 8. I like that. Mowanthi says 8.5 for a clean sheet. Yeah, I think we're all kind of in the same ballpark of somewhere between 6 and 8. He wasn't under too much pressure, but he did enough to warrant higher than a 7 or a 6. He did a good job. Dale says Raya 8. Samful says 8.5 for the distribution. Aaron says 8. Sambu says Samtu says 7. So yeah, like Martin N is basically saying a 7.5 for a clean sheet, but he wasn't really tested. And I like that. It's not that I don't think that Ramsdale couldn't do the same thing. I don't think that he had such a game where I'm like, Ramsdale could never do that. But I think just judging him based on the game that he had, it was somewhere between a 7 and an 8. And I think we're all pretty comfortable with that. Now, I want to ask you guys a question before we get off of Raya. Who are you starting for the North London Derby? Are you starting Raya or are you going to start Ramsdale? Go, quick. I want to hear the answers. Raya or Ramsdale for the North London Derby? Now. No long drawn out answers. Just tell me who. Just tell me who. Just tell me who. You got it. Okay. So Caleb says Raya brings us more calmness than Ramsdale ever has. I'm seeing a lot of Raya in here. Raya. Owen says Raya was good today. No agendas. He has to start at the weekend. Ramsdale's confidence may be down after missing out today. Sam2 says 7. I still hope Ramsdale starts in the Spurs game. Dale says Raya. Anton Dunn says Raya. Astral Dooley says Raya. Mark says Rams. So going on the other side. I like that. Martin says Raya. Kevy Kev says Raya. The Shake says Rambo. I like that. Alaska says can't drop Raya now. Samful says Raya. Roxy says Raya. There's a lot of Raya in here. Some Rambos in here too. I see Rambo here. Hugo says Ramsdale, and James says Ramsdale. So there's quite a bit of Ramsdales here now coming up too. So these are good problems to have. You guys. I think, there was we're not talking about, okay, Ramsdale is off of form, so we have to like stick with him or go with Matt Turner. Like, these are good problems to have. And I think we need to look at it from that perspective until we know that Ramsdale is super unhappy and is like agitating to leave, which there's no signs whatsoever. He's probably unhappy not to be starting, which is normal for a player that's used to starting and thinks that they're good enough to start. So unless we start hearing that he's agitating to leave, we're in a good position with 2 very good goalkeepers at our disposal. And so let's just enjoy it. Now moving on, there's going to be some players in here that didn't play, so I'm just going to zoom by them. Ben White, I thought he had a really good game going forward, and I thought he did a really good job in the second half of not getting the second yellow. His first yellow was hilarious. He grabbed somebody's leg to stop them from getting by him. But one thing that Ben White, I think it's just something about him. Like, it's not his fault. He's just not great 1v1 or in wide areas defending. He's more of that center back. So if you can get him isolated, you can get by him pretty easily. And I think PSV kind of had the formula there in that first half to get beyond him. And he suffered a little bit and he got that yellow card. But I thought all in all, beyond that, I thought Ben White had a typical Ben White game. And he was very good going forward. He was getting in good positions, and he even had one pass in the first half across the 6-yard that really Jesus should be putting away. And so I thought Ben White was good, and I thought he did a good job making sure that he didn't get a red, because that would have been so unnecessary for a game where he, it just wasn't that type of game where, like we weren't under that much threat. But I'm going to give Ben is like, it's going to seem harsh. I'm going to give him, no, I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to give him a 7 because he was good. He was good. It's just he's not great in those scenarios, and they were getting by him. So, and he was getting barbecued a little bit in that first half. But again, we have so much cover with Reiss and Saliba that it didn't hurt us. And so defending is a team game. It's not just about one person, and it's the sum of the parts. And I think even though Ben was maybe getting cooked a little bit on that side, he had enough cover to make sure that it didn't cost us. So there you go. Laska says 7 for Ben. Martin N says an 8.6 for Ben White. Kevy Kev says 7. Carabo says the Gunners. I love that. Roxy says 7. Sakshem says standard 6. Nothing good, nothing bad. I could say that as well. The Shake says White a 7. Let's see. Psalm 2 says 8 for Ben. Siobhan says 6.5 for Ben. Yeah, somewhere between 6.5 and 8. I think depending on how you saw him defending, your viewpoint on his game, it differs. But like, Kevy Kev is saying 7 is fair. Like Michael says a 9. That's pretty high. Carabo says 8. So somewhere between there. I just know that that's what Ben's kind of like little hiccup is, and it's not because he's not doing as good as he can. It's just because that's just not a part of his game. And so sometimes he's just going to get cooked. And so I'm willing to go with a 7. Let's keep moving. Let's keep it pushing. This guy, They couldn't get by him. They couldn't get by him. They couldn't get by him. He was absolutely destroying them. He cleaned up everything. He was eating them alive. He had so many good moments on the ball too, where he was just calm, cool, and collected. Just got the ball, got by them, and just made the pass. And he just makes it look so easy. Luke De Jong, where he was getting a lot of joy against us last season because he had to go up against Holding and Saliba. It wasn't the same. Like, he was getting nothing, and he was so frustrated that he tried to pretend as if Declan Rice had done something to him, and really he just got in the way of Declan Rice passing that ball. But I loved Saliba's game today because it was a typical Saliba type performance where he's not really doing much. Like, he's not slide tackling or doing anything, but he just discourages you so much by being faster and stronger and better. And he just calmly takes the ball away from you, and you just go away with your tail tucked between his legs. I think he was very, very solid today, and beyond one, maybe two like little bobbly passes like at the beginning of the game where everybody was shaky, the guy was mustard. Like, for me, that was a really top performance from Saliba. I think he's going to be really good in the Champions League, by the way. So for me, I'm just going to say it now. He is my man of the match. I love that performance from him. It was very close for me between him and Odegaard, but I just think it's so important to shut the back door. And that doesn't mean that I think it's obviously it's a collective. So I think Gabriel also had a very good game, and so did Reiss. But Saliba just stood out to me as the guy that was just completely like, I think they probably going to have nightmares of Saliba because he just made it look so easy. Damn, it was so easy. Sakshem says, hope Saliba stays fit. Karabo says, a Saliba man of the match. For me, he was. Andre says, Rolls Royce Saliba. Kevy Kev says, he's like the Odegaard of defenders. I like that. Gentle says 8.5. Martin N says 8.75 for Willow. Ayul says 8. Psalm 2 says our Rolls Royce CB was a 9 tonight. I agree. Why you Buddy Tomo says 8.5, sorry, 9.5 for Saliba. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I really am. I struggled with that one. I'm sorry. Mark says grade inflation. A 9 is what you give for a hat trick or for a goalkeeper who keeps a clean sheet with a penalty save. I don't care. He was amazing today. I think defenders deserve love too, and I don't think he should have to like score a goal, or he just makes it look so easy. He makes defending fun to watch. And yeah, so I'm 100% going to give him a 9, whether you like it or not, Mark. Trini says, you've got love for center backs. Jess, what position did you play? I was a right back, and then I also played like CDM. I was one of those players that, like, as time went by, they slowly moved my ass back. So yeah, I ended up playing deeper in midfield and also as a right back. I was one of those. I love defending. So I love what Saliba does. He makes it look so good. The Shake says 9, my man of the match for Mr. Cool. I love that. Liquid Danger says smash the likes up. I love that. Make sure you guys are in those likes and also in the chat letting me know what you guys think, because this is just as much of your show as it is mine. As that says, isn't it great when you can't choose the man of the match? That's when you know your team played really, really good. So yeah, Mark says, Jess, you're moving more generous than I give Saliba an 8, still defensive man of the match for me. I like that. So let's keep it moving to Mr. Gabriel. Another one that had a really good game today. I think at the very end too, let's start here. Gabriel's distribution was excellent today. Some of the crossfield passes and his passes behind their line was really good. And it's something that we don't get to see very often from our defenders because we're usually at the halfway line and there is no space behind a back line. So Gabriel, I thought on the ball was really good, and also defensively shut the door on PSV. He did a really good job covering Zinni, I thought, on that side. And he didn't really put a foot wrong. Like, he was excellent. Gabriel, a very underrated player in our team, I think. And it's a game that I probably would have given, if I was the coach, I would have given it to Kivior, but I'm actually happy now that he played that game because he was just so good and top player. And I'm happy that he's at Arsenal. So I'm going to give him an 8.5. Like, not as great as Saliba, but he didn't do much wrong. Like, he really didn't do much wrong. He didn't do anything wrong, I'll be honest. Clement says, best game of the season for Arsenal, clinical finishing in front of goal, controlled midfield, clean sheet, and defended properly onto Spurs on Sunday. I love that. Trini says 8 for Gabriel. Kipkowski says 8. I already got that one. Gerard says Gabby was immense and it's an easy 9 for him. I agree. Carabao says 8. Ayul says 9 for Gabrielle. The Sheikh says 8. Nen says you're a 10. Thank you. I love getting ratings as well. Not really for looks, but like for my content. I love that. Paul says a 9. Therese says Gabby 7. Martin N says 8.5 for Big Gabby. I agree. Zich says 8.5. Ify says Gabrielle 8. Life of Baj says Arsenal fans find a way to act like B, support your team instead of the players. Okay. All right. All right. The energy after a game that we won. But actually, I don't know the context of that comment anyway, because I'm seeing tons of love in the comments for our team. Mark says Gabrielle solid 7.8. I love these like point somethings. You guys are so funny. Kev says Gabrielle 8, really good for me. So yeah, everybody's kind of like in the 8 to 9-ish range for Gabrielle, which I think is fair for him. He was really good today. Next, Tomiyasu. We will give him a rating because he did come on. I thought he didn't, I mean, obviously like the second half was more about just like managing the game. And I thought he did a good job at that when he came on. We're not going to spend too much time on Tommy because like, obviously he didn't play the majority of the game and he didn't have much to do. So I'm just going to give Tommy like a standard 7. I think that's good enough for him. I want to see him start against Kulusevski though at the weekend. I think as good as Zinny is, I just feel like I want to keep Spurs just closed out. You know, so I still think it's a Tommy game, but yeah, Tommy gets to like a little 7. I like that. Crispy says Tommy 7. He did his job. Mark says Tommy 7.1. No major errors. Jay says Tommy did very well. Calm and composed 7.5. The Sheikh says Tommy 7. I think we're all kind of like in the same with this one. Edipiju says Tommy 7. So yeah, we're all kind of like in that same vibe of a 7. We don't have to spend too much time on Tommy because he didn't play that much, if that makes sense. So no shade, Tommy, but we're gonna keep moving. Zinny, I really wanted him to come off at halftime, not because I thought he was poor, but I thought he had a couple of moments of where Zinny gets a little arrogant and gives away the ball in dangerous areas. And you know, I did think that they were finding a little bit of joy on his side. These easy 1-2s, like kind of around him, but he had an okay game. Like, I don't think he was awful. I don't think like he just was kind of like not one of the more amazing performers on the day. And you know, Zinny, super important to the team, like obviously, but there's just some games where I just don't want to encourage a team at all. And sometimes with the way that he plays, because it's so high risk, high reward, and he's so good on the ball, sometimes he gets just a little carried away. And he was scaring me a little bit in that first half. So I'm going to give him a 7. Not bad, not, you know, anything, just fine. You know, he's good. Stan says 4. Fair enough. Trini says Zinchenko an 8. Barath says 7. Ayul says 7.5 for Zinchenko. Zich says 7. Harrison says Zinny 7. Roxy says a 5 average. Okay, so you weren't as excited about his performance. Not at his best today. He was just all right. Like, he didn't really cost us, but I think against a better team, some of the decision making might have. So I just need him to kind of, you know, I don't know how to say it, but like stand up, like don't give the ball away in positions that are detrimental to us. Barath says Zinny 7. Ify says 7.5 for Zinny. Mark says Zinni 6.8, a few errors, but also good progressive passing. Exactly. It was a typical kind of like Zinni game where he had some dodgy moments, but it was mostly good. Kevy Kev says Zinni 7. So yeah, we're kind of all on the same page here. Here's some more. Energy level was high, 7.5. Zinni 7. Gerard's 7. So yeah, Crispy Rice says Zinni a 6 for me. A couple of turnovers that led to breaks. So I think we're all kind of on the same page about Zinni. It's fine. It didn't cost us, but on another day, it could. There's 400 of you guys in here, which is crazy. Make sure you guys are liking this video and subscribing to the channel and getting involved in the chat. That is super important because who am I going to talk to? Who am I going to talk to? If you guys don't talk to me, then I'm going to be talking to the air, and I don't want to do that. So Kivior, he didn't play. Georgie came on, did his little job. And again, there were a lot of people calling for him to start the game. I'm really glad that he didn't because we needed Reiss in there cleaning up. In Europe, it's a lot more of a transitional game. Teams don't sit back on you as much. It's more of a basketball game. And I do think Zinni or Jorginho from the start means that you're not going to have that ability to stop transitions the way that you want to with Reiss. And so Jorginho is much better, I think, closing games out for us than starting from the beginning. So I'm just going to give him a 7. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't really change the game. He just had a couple of minutes and, he did his job. But I am glad that he did not start the game. We're going to get to Declan Rice, y'all, I promise. Kevy Kev says, haha, jokes. Name says, that would have been... What? I don't know what this means. Sorry, Leslie says Rice with a player. We're going to get on him. Richard says Jorginho is good at closing out games. I agree. Martin N says a 7 for Jorginho. So, yeah, we're all kind of like, yeah, I think we're just going to keep moving on because we want to get to the main people that played. But, Jorginho, he has a purpose. And when he's used properly, he's a very good weapon, but not from the start. We don't need that. Let's get on to Rice. Let's do it. Surprisingly, this is the first game where I didn't feel like he was man of the match. Every single game this season so far, except for Nottingham Forest, I felt like he was the man of the match. I was like, Crystal Palace, he's man of the match. Fulham, probably man of the match. Like, whoever. Like, I just always thought that, like, he really stood out. In today's game, it wasn't as, because the attack was attacking so well, I don't think that he stood out as much, which is fine because he did his job. He stopped transitions. He won the ball back. Like, he passed the ball well. He had some switches of play that went out of bounds, but I think quite a few players had games like that where they were overhitting passes, and maybe the pitch had something to do with that. But that little triangle of Saliba, Reiss, and Gabriel just discourages the hell out of teams. And so I thought he had a solid game without being particularly involved as much as maybe he had been in games like in the past, which is fine because at some point we want Reiss to just be putting out 7s and 8s, and we don't, if he's putting out 9s and 10s, it's because we're under siege, So I'm going to give him a 7.5. I thought he's just a really good player. I'm fine with it. Good performance. Samto says, Rice baby, consistent, 8 performance for our baby. I love that. Olu says, 8 for Reiss. The Sheikh says 8.5 for Reiss. He bossed the midfield. Martin N says, I feel bad for giving him anything lower than a 9 because he has been so consistent for us. I know, I feel bad too. Like, I could probably bump that up to an 8, but you guys know what I mean. Like, if he's giving us a 9 out of 10 game, I do think that that means that he was probably, we were probably defending a lot more than we want to. And I think he's probably somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8 today, which means that you're performing at a high level, but you're not going to get as high of a score as like when we get to Saka and Jesus and stuff. Like, those are going to be much higher, and that's fine. Ray says 8.5 for Jollof Rice. Dick says 8 for Rice. We got another 8 here as well. Mark says 7.6 is an excellent score, guys. That's what I have for him. Kevy Kev says this is harsh on Rice. I can't lie, but I can't name anything bad that he's done. Like, there was nothing bad, but it's a 7.5 to an 8 for me because, like, I don't think I don't know how to describe it. Maybe I'll give him an 8. I'll give him an 8. It's hard for me to describe. But I also thought he was excellent. So I'm going to change it to an 8. You guys bullied me. You bullied me. You won. Leslie says we'll get a 9 when we beat Spurs. Omar says Reiss is a saboteur of every opponent, like a saboteur of every opponent's attack. 8.9 for Reiss. I like that. Lina says an 8 for Reiss. I mean, he's been an excellent signing for us so far. Dale says a 7. I'm a huge Partey fan, but Reiss maybe 2 misplaced passes. Partey has 6 to 8 bad passes, and this will be a debate that's raging in our fan base for the entire season because it's really difficult to upgrade upon somebody like Thomas Partey. There's not many players in the world that would be better than him. But Declan Reiss for me is a more well-rounded player in terms of being able to stop attacks, control tempo, and he's a better defender. And so where Partey may just edge him in terms of what he can do on the ball, Reiss gives us something different that I think we need at this stage of knowing that we're going to have 80% possession. We're going to control games most of the time, and we need tempo, and we need to stop counterattacks before they happen. And so it's no shade on Partey. Partey is an amazing player and stuff, but he has a real battle on his hands to get back into this team because as games go on, you can just see Reiss is just starting to get a little bit taller. He's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. And there's going to be a real battle when Thomas Partey comes back. Tala says Reiss is a 7 this game. Reiss needs to develop his position a little bit better, but 3 years he'll be a player. Crispy says Reiss stays fit. Tyrell says, big win for us tonight, Jess. I agree. Ipy says, it was a Busquets-esque performance from Reiss. He just does the job without people noticing. And I don't want to notice my DM that much. Like, I feel like if I'm noticing him a lot, we're under siege, and I love watching like comps back or watching games back and watch Reiss because people tell me that he's only passing sideways and backwards. He does not. He does a lot of progressive passing. He's one of our most progressive players in midfield. And so he's doing a really good job, and he's amazing, so I'm happy that we got him. He's worth the price, 100%. There is 445 of you guys in here. Make sure you guys are liking this video. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel, making sure you guys are just engaged in the chat. I love that so much. And this has been a really good stream so far. This guy, my other shout for man of the match. I mean, this is what I say when people were like, oh, you're being harsh on Odegaard, Jess. You're being harsh on Odegaard because you're saying that he's not having great games so far in the season. That's not what I was saying. I'm saying I know when I'm watching an Odegaard masterclass and I know when I'm not. And up until this point, we haven't seen that from either Odegaard or Saka, not because they haven't been playing well, but because the other teams have decided just to put 4 players on them and stop them. And they've been doing a relatively decent job at it, even though Saka and Odegaard are so good that they still influence our team, even with 2 players on them. And so this is the consequence when you give Odegaard space, is he has games like this. I mean, some of his vision, some of the passes that he had into Jesus and Saka were just mustard. Like, he's so good. He makes it look so easy. And his goal, that is becoming a trademark Odegaard goal from outside the box. He has the one-touch finish off of the cutback, and he also has the goal from outside the box where he just absolutely rips it. And I love the construction of that goal with Kai getting in behind the defense, stopping, and recirculating onto the left-hand side with Reiss Nelson and ESR playing nice triangles, and then them giving it to Odegaard and him just putting it in the back of the net. Perfect goal. He had a really, really good game. He was my other shout for man of the match. I did go for Saliba because I just enjoyed that performance so much from him, but Odegaard was my other shout. That is a masterclass performance by Martin Odegaard. I know what I'm watching. He's my favorite player. And so I never was being harsh on him. I just feel like other teams have decided just to try to stop our right-hand side, because when you don't, this is what happens. 4-0 is what happens. So I'm going to give Martin Odegaard a 9 as well, just like Saliba. I mean, you couldn't do much more better, but 10s are hard to come by, and he was excellent. He really was. He was As Therese is saying, is captain fantastic. He's an amazing player. I'm so happy he's ours. Adept Beju says, Odegaard, captain fantastic, 10 out of 10, the best playmaker in the world right now. Caleb says, Jess, you like Odegaard more than Saka. It's not about liking anybody more. I think I love all of our players, and like, every time I see any one of them at any given time, they can be my favorite if I'm just watching them play. But I do love Odegaard. He is my favorite player at Arsenal. But that doesn't mean that I don't absolutely adore Saka, Martinelli, everybody. So it's hard to pick a favorite right now because everybody's just so lovable. But Odegaard for me just makes the team tick. Watching him play is like poetry in motion. I love that he works so hard and he leads with example. And I love that he only cost us like 30 million. I love that. I love everything about Odegaard and his story too. He's great. Kevy Kev says, we look set to destroy Spurs on Sunday. We have plenty of time to talk about that. And I hope we do destroy them. Dale says, 8. I'm Odegaard's biggest critic, not because I don't rate him highly. I just have high expectations because he can fall out of bed and give a 7 out of 10 performance. And I like that you said that because people will think it's harsh, but Odegaard can go to another level too. Like, this is nowhere near as good as Odegaard can be. And so I am similar to you, Dale, where I do have high expectations of him. So sometimes my critique of him, it comes off quite harsh, but he's just such a good player that I expect him to just be magic. Like Mwanthi says, 9 easily. Odegaard was very quality today. Definitely a future Arsenal legend. I agree. I just love that guy, man. World Boss says, Jess gets a 10 for ruthless consistency. I try to be as consistent as possible. Ayul says, Odegaard, 9.5 out of 10. He was amazing. Ray says, guys, let's bully Jessica into giving the captain a 10. Don't bully me. Don't bully me. You got 1 out of me. You won't get 2. Ivy says Odegaard is a 9. He was just so, I cannot wait for the comp of him today to come out because you'll know what I mean when I say, like, you're watching a masterclass today was a masterclass where we hadn't really seen one yet. But he's so good that even when they have 2 or 3 players on him, he's still influential in our game. You're saying 9 because of that shot outside of the box. It's becoming a trademark, and I'm loving that for him. So yeah, loving that guy. He was great. He was excellent today. Fabio Vieira came on for a couple of minutes too with Emile Smith-Rowe. I won't go too long on Fabio because you guys know I can talk about him for days, but I thought it was a nice cameo. I think, I want to see him shoot more. I could see him trying to, make sure that I think he looks for the assist first. I think it's in his nature. I would like to see him shoot a little bit more, but I'm just going to give him like a 7.5. I thought when him and ESR and Reiss Nelson came on, I think they made a good account of themselves. I thought they all had very good cameos. And, I could probably give all 3 of them like kind of like a 7.5. But it's nice to have players in your team coming off of the bench and being able to put up performances like Vieira and Reiss and Emile Smith-Rowe where they look like they've been playing with the team anyway. And that's probably it's a confidence thing. And it's also they've had minutes. ESR hasn't had minutes, but the other 2 have, and they've also played in preseason. And so Fabio for me gets a 7.5. I thought he has some nice touches. I like him to be a little bit more selfish, but all in all, a good little cameo for him. Mark says 6.5. Nothing wrong with what he did. Trini says ESR looked a bit rusty, but good outing for him. I agree. You said Fabio is a 7.5. Solid for Fabio, an 8. Fabio 6.5. The Comic Moth says 6.5. Roxy says 5.5 average. Hugo says 7. So yeah, he was like a 7, kind of quiet. Probably should have hit a couple of shots on his own, but it was a good cameo. He didn't destroy anything, so it is what it is. We'll also go with Kai Havertz, who I thought started off slow in the first half. If you guys were watching the watch along, I was saying that I just want to see a little bit more from him. I want to see him on the ball a little bit more, especially in a game like this where we were attacking so well. I wanted to see him to be a part of it. And I thought he actually came alive in the second half in particular. He had that one really nice little chip ball that he had into Jesus' feet. I think Jesus should maybe do better there, but he was kind of robbed of an assist there. And he also was really good for the Odegaard goal. And he was just better in the second half. And maybe it's because the pressure was off a little bit and Arsenal were so free flowing. And he had like 45 minutes under his belt. But there's more to come for Kai Havertz. I don't want to be like harsh on him or anything. It seems like I'm being harsh on him because he's a constant constant part of the conversation. But I just feel like there's more there. You know, even when he wasn't good for Chelsea, I saw more sometimes in glimpses that I'm seeing right now. So there's more there. But in the second half, he was really good. In the first half, he was quiet. And so I'll give him, might seem harsh. Maybe I'll give him a 7.5. He was robbed of an assist. He should have had an assist. He had a good game. Like, I don't want to be harsh on him, but he was good. I thought he was good. Leslie says Havertz was that was his best game. Martin N says Kai was all right, 6.5 or 7.5. 7.6. Trini says Havertz needs to be more aggressive. I kind of agree with that. Charlie says those Vieira stocks have materialized, huh, Jess? Of course they did, because I know what I'm talking about. Kevy Kev says Shy Havertz is a 7, must do better to embrace this. Boy says Havertz was decent again today. Again, it was decent. It wasn't bad. It wasn't, anything, but if you were really watching the second half, he was a lot better in the second half. Mark says, really good second half from Havertz. I hope he gets his confidence back. His quality is undeniable and undeniably hidden. Yo, that cracked me up. 6.7. It sounded like it was going like in this really nice direction, and then you threw like that little dagger at the end. I like that. That was quality. I like that. Matthew says Havertz is a 7. Roxy says, what does he do? Nothing. Not even our players want to pass the ball to him. I think he did some things, like he needs to be more aggressive and, impose himself on the game a little bit more. But he was fine today. I'll give him a 7.5. Like, I saw it in the second half. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't. But I need more from the beginning. Especially if you're going to keep Fabio Vieira off the pitch, because my guy he's coming. He's coming. And Emile Smith-Rowe got a couple little minutes there too. So he might be coming too. So, Kai, you gotta work. You gotta do a little bit more, but 7.5, I'm willing to give him for this game. Emile, I thought people were going to bust into tears when he came onto the pitch today. Obviously, he's Haaland, and a lot of people attribute the beginning of this project and us kind of getting to this point to Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka, and maybe even Martinelli and Tierney too, because Tierney was a big part of this before it actually started. He was a big part of it too. And so I think there's a lot of people that are secretly like rooting for Emile Smith-Rowe. And I'm somebody that, I'm just looking at kind of like the moves that Arsenal are making. And I am a little bit worried about his spot in the team. But seeing him today and seeing how he applied himself and how he imposed himself in the game, he looks like he's in a positive space and willing to work for his position. And what I was saying at halftime about Emile Smith-Rowe, it was actually a little bit before halftime, where we were talking about who we'd like to see play. Even though I didn't anticipate him playing in this game, what I did want to see is that if he got the minutes, to not let them pass him by, not take those minutes and really grab them and like make people need to notice that you were out there. I think he did that. You can't really expect that much from Emile because he hasn't played a single minute. So I was expecting him to be quite rusty, but the part that he played in Odegaard's goal, he was physical, he was winning the ball back, he had some nice touches. And so I'm happy for him, because I'm worried. Like, I am worried, and he is a good player and I would love to see him stay. So he was good. I'm excited about what I saw. And I'm happy he got a chance, because I know people were really worried about it. And he got a standing ovation when he came onto the pitch. So I'm gonna give Emile a little 7, a little 7. Good, energetic. Him and Reiss, Fabio. I could probably give him a little bit more. 7.5. let's give him a little bit more than that. 7.5, just like Fabio. Good little 7.5. Cameo, energy didn't drop. You could tell he's positive. He's not sulking because he's not playing. And that's what you want to see from somebody who needs to fight to get his position. So, yeah, I'm happy for him. Trini says, Jess, did you see the strength by ESR? If he did add the physicality to his game, he will be amazing. I did see that, and I liked what I saw from him. The Cosmic Moth says ESR 6, 5. Not going to give him under 6 after that performance. Edipaju says, Emil, nice game, 7. Expected him to take some shots at the edge of the box. Good game overall. Nice comeback. Definitely giving him a little bit extra on there just because I really like him. But and I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for the Emil Smith Rowe people because I know they were dying. And it was a good game, so we can give a little bit extra, you know. Kevy Kev says Emil Smith Rowe has been out for a long time, so 7. Exactly. Ian White says, it was good to see ESR, though he was a big part of what was good for us when it wasn't looking so great. Then he became the forgotten man almost. And that happens in teams sometimes when you grow and then players are injured, they do kind of fall behind in the pecking order and they need to work their way back up. And so, you know, getting these minutes, this is also why it's so important to win the game first, get 3 goals up so you can see the likes of Emil Smith Rowe come on. If you start off with a rotated lineup and then you're not winning the game and you need to chase it, Emil Smith Rowe doesn't get those minutes. So yeah, I'm happy about that cameo that I saw, and good for him. And hopefully this is something he can build on. Let's keep it moving. Trossy baby, Trossy baby, Trossy baby, Trossy baby. Had a little, like, couple little dodgy moments at the beginning when everybody was a little bit shaky, but that front 4 was fantastic today. Saka, Jesus, Trossard, Odegaard. The creativity, the tech, the vision, the vibes. Like, it was what we've been missing this entire time. And Trossard is somebody that's going to be super important for us, obviously, with Martinelli out right now. And he really could rack up quite a few goals and assists in that time. And he had a goal and an assist. So I thought he had a really good game. He could have had more, but, you know, that's what you want to see from your front 3. You want to see them all bagging, right? And so I'm going to give Trossy baby an 8.5. I thought he was really, really good. He's just my guy, man. He's just my guy. He's so good. And the way people were speaking about him because he had that bad half against Fulham, like, relax, he's fine. Like, just let him play, let him do his vibe. Kevy Kev says, I like 7.5. It's fair. Charlie says this project is off of the back of ESR, Saka, and Martinelli. Those are the children of this project. I agree that it started with them for sure. Trini says Trossard is quality. Trini says a 9. Roxy Ward says Trossard 9.5 to 10. What a player. Martin N says 9.1 for Trossard. Let's actually see where he is in the poll for man of the match. He actually has 17%, so he's actually second in the running, with Odegaard well out in front with 57% of the vote. Let's see. Leonard de Trossard is a great actor, 8.5. Dale says Trossard 8. It's all over. You're breaking out your own nicknames. No Vieira nickname. What's up with that? Vieira is just Fabio Vieira. Like, that's all I really call him. But yeah, Trossy baby, Trossy, Leo. He has tons of little nicknames. If you can think of a good one for Vieira, I'll take it. But yeah, I just kind of call him Vieira. Ivy says, oh yeah, Bossard is also another one. Bossard, my boy, 1 goal and an assist, 8.5. Kevy Kev says if Trossard doesn't start the NLD, I'll be very upset. I don't see how he can't. I don't see how he wouldn't. You know, you're not going to start Reiss, you know, so I think you'll see the exact same starting 11 potentially, or not starting 11, but starting like front 4, unless he does something crazy. And I hope he doesn't do it. John Donut says Trossard is a 9. Badir says Trossard is one of the best players in the squad. I think technically he is one of the better players in the squad. I just love Trossard. I think he was a great pickup. Great pickup. So he had an excellent game with the rest of the front 4. And I look forward to watching him in the North London Derby because I'm sure he will start that game. Who else would? Reiss, like I said, we'll just give him a little 7.5. I thought put himself about, was strong, direct. Again, another one that's not getting a lot of playing time, but is positive off of the bench, which is so important. You don't want people sulking or acting like they're too good to come on for a couple of minutes here and there. And Reiss Nelson is a nice little weapon to have because he's more similar to Martinelli. And at the end of games, when people are tired, he's not somebody that you really want to run and try to chase. So I just want to go through it a little quickly just so we can get to the last couple. But I thought Reiss Nelson had a really decent cameo, and like Fabio Vieira and ESR, I want to give him a 7.5 because for me, body language and energy is so important when you're not getting playing time. You can always see when somebody has a gnat up their ass because they're not playing, and I love Reiss Nelson's energy. It's giving Eddie, not Sambi, and I like that. Kevy says 7 for Reiss. The Comic Moss says Reiss is a 7.5. Agreed. Always liked him. Pace and good feet. Martin N says 7.5 is fair for Reiss. Denver says Reiss looks sharp when he comes on. The Shake says 7 for Reiss. We have another 7.5 for Reiss. So yeah, like it's just a 7.5 and it's fine. No dramas here, which is what we want. Moving on. Starboy scored our first goal back in the Champions League after 6 years. It was almost like as if the script was written, because you couldn't have picked a more obvious player to score that first goal. And Saka looked a lot better today than he had been looking in past games. And a lot of it was the same thing that Odegaard is plagued with, is that they just kind of put a million people on them and it makes it more difficult. But a goal and assist for Starboy. He had a good game. He got to come off and get a little bit of a rest as well. But I thought he had a really good game. End product is the most important thing in those positions, and he has that. And I don't know what much more I could say about him. I think, he's our guy. Like he's it, So I'm actually going to give him, I could give him, I don't know, I'll give him an 8.5, but it's a 9. It could be anything. It could be a 9. It could be a 9.5. I don't know. I'm just happy for him, and it couldn't have come from a more obvious person. People are like, "Oh, it's gonna be Kai. It's gonna be J." No, it was Saka, and it should have been, and it felt right. Kevy Kev says Saka 8.8, brilliant goal, hitting form now. Edepeju says Saka is a 9. Denver says Saka gets an 8.5 for sure. Our poster boy. Omar says even our bench gets over 6. Dale says Saka is an 8.5. Loved it. Saka put in 30 top minutes. Cruz sub, perfect performance. I love that. Mark says Bakayo 8.1. He worked hard, scored, and set the tone. Martin says, how about an 8.75? It kind of feels like an 8.75, doesn't it? Like, it's hard because I do think that Odegaard and Saliba, for me, were the standout performers overall. But I still think Saka and Trossard and Jesus I could just give them 9s, but I have to give them just a little lower because I thought the other two were just outstanding. Trini says, what score does Cedric get? Don't try me. I want to have a good day today. Don't talk to me about Cedric Suarez. Please don't. Martin N says 9 for Saka. The Comic Moss says Saka 9. Absolutely crushed Des. Des is just not a good defender, is he? But going forward, he was giving Ben White a difficult time. So, he's one of those players. Well, he's not good enough to be a winger, but he's also not good enough to be a fullback. And he's not good enough to be a midfielder either. It's really tough for Dest. I don't like players like him because you end up putting him as a wing back, but if you don't play a back 3, you don't have a spot for him. But that's another conversation for another day and not on this channel. Crispy Rice says Saka is a 9. He was my man of the match, a goal and an assist to get us rolling. That goal was so important to get the nerves out of the legs. You could just see it. We were 2 up, I think, for it. We wanted to be perfect. We wanted to make the crowd happy. We wanted to live up to the occasion. And so guys were doing things that we don't usually see them do, taking longer touches and not passing it to feed and things like that. But that goal definitely settled us down. So it was great. He had a good game. Martin N says Cedric solid 10 for being a good teammate. I'll take that. I will take that. Blaze says, guys, let's bully Jess into giving Saka a 10. Not happening. Ian says, how long until the Champions League teams realize you can't let our star boy have a one-on-one with any fullback? Star boy turned up tonight, and haters can't say he's not done it in the Champions League. What now? And what's most important is end product and efficiency and GA, I think, in the position that Saka plays in. And so, yeah, there are games where he's not going to be as like good 1v1, or, you know, he's going to misplace passes and things like that. But as long as he's getting the numbers, that is the most important thing. And that's what he's doing right now. And he had a good game by all accounts. So I have nothing to complain about when it comes to Saka. Eddie didn't play. Jesus, what a way to lead the line in our first Champions League game back after six years. I expect Jesus to give us a lot in Champions League because he's been there, done that. He hasn't won it, but he has been there long enough where he knows what each game is going to require, and he's fully fit. Like, he's fully fit, and you could just see from minute one, like, he was giving us the hold up play, link up play. He was going out wide, he was coming deep, and he could have had a hat trick. But we'll always have those conversations about Jesus. We were saying it in the watch along that he's not clinical, so you can't call him like a world-class number 9, but I still think he's a world-class talent and a world-class player. If you just put him out there on the pitch and you take the number off his back and you just watch the player play, he is outstanding. He gives us so much. And if he could just finish maybe one more chance, then, you know, I think people would talk about him in a different light. But he had the goal. He was good. He was creative. He was energetic. And I expect to see him start against Spurs. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. 8.5 for Gabby Jesus. Roxy says Jesus 9. Denver says Jesus was a very high 8. I agree. Shake says 8 should have had a hat trick. I agree. The Cosmic Moth says Jesus 8.5. You can tell the difference when he's on the field. Kevy Kev says Jesus a 10. That goal was awesome. It was excellent. Like, it's just one of those goals where like only quality players really score those goals. I mean, he just was so calm, cool, and collected. You just knew when it left his boot, it was going in the back of the net, side net. He's just an outstanding. Like, I love Gabriel Jesus. I get frustrated just like everybody else with the big chances missed, but he has taken us up to another level that we didn't have with our previous attackers. And so I will always rate him and back him because of that. Martin N says 8.4 for Jesus. He should have scored a few more. Jesus 8. Omar says Saka had his best debut in the Champions League. 9.5 for Saka. So that's still on Saka. And Crispy Rice says that touch though. Denver says the best thing is the rotation is really good. I didn't see any drop off whatsoever. Plus, this is the first time someone went toe to toe with us and we destroyed them. And that was a warning sign. That's why you don't go toe to toe with us, because it doesn't work. Like, it's not smart. I just want to read out some super chats as well. Dale, I want to thank you so much. Dale says, I canceled Netflix. My money is going to you, my most level-headed Arsenal analyst on YouTube. Not even close. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Creating content is fun, but it's hard. And I do it for you guys. And when you guys come in and you guys send nice messages and you interact with me, it makes my day. So thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much for your support. And I look forward to seeing you on more streams. Yeah, you don't need Netflix anyway. Who needs Netflix? And Crispy Rice, I just want to say, like, you also sent in a super chat, but you've also been a member of the channel for 14 months, which is just over a year. Thank you so much for all your support. You're always in the chat. You're always giving, good comments and adding value to the channel in your own right. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all your support. And you had a super chat saying Jesus is the conduit that makes the engine roar. And that's the best way to describe the way he unlocks the front four, by being almost like that additional number 10 to add creativity that we really lack when he's not in there. He goes left, he goes right, he has link up play, he has everything. And he's energetic and physical, and he's such a good player. And I think people forget about it because, like, obviously he had such a long injury, and then, you know, he has the chances that he misses, but he's taken us up a level that, you know, it's been a joy to watch Arsenal play ever since he's really been in the squad, and since the beginning of last season. So yeah, Jesus is somebody that, you know, I'll say that if he hasn't played well, but I'll pretty much always back him because he's very good. Very, very good. Akin says he didn't have to do a PSV player like that step over. Trini says, hey, Jess, is Arteta creating drama by starting Raya 2 games in a row here? We won't know until the next time we see Rambo play. If the next time we see Rambo play and he's looking like Runnerson, then maybe we've destroyed the guy, and that's not really what we wanted to do. I'm hoping that Arsenal and Arteta have this under control and they know what they're doing, and we can enjoy having 2 really good goalkeepers and it works out. But if it doesn't work out, then hopefully, if for some reason Ramsdale wants to go, that we get what we need from that and he gets what he needs from that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't want to overthink it at the moment, especially because we played so well. And on Arteta, you know, he doesn't have like a little picture, but I'll get him one for the next game. But on Arteta, I think ultimately he managed the game perfectly. We had the perfect subs at the perfect time. We started off with the right lineup. It was strong enough to make sure that we didn't encourage PSV at all. I thought it was brave to start Raya again, but it ended up being probably the right choice. And I just think that there's not much more to say. We have a clean sheet. He coached a 4-5-0, and we got 4-0. You know, so it was a perfect setup for the game. We looked well coached and confident, and all the players performed well. And so that's all you can really ask for. So for me, Mikel Arteta gets a 10. What else? What else is there? You know, we could not mess this up. Not getting a win in this game would set us off on the wrong path. And so we're unbeaten so far this season, going into the North London Derby, hopefully riding on a lot of confidence. And so for me, Mikel Arteta definitely gets a 10. And, you know, I can ask for more. John, thank you so much for joining the channel. I really appreciate it. There is one membership level on the channel where it's a little bit less than Patreon. That's just more, you know, you get badges and you get priority in streams and things like that. But the bonus content really does come with Patreon. And I am going to get somebody to do a rewatch on Patreon for this game. Probably going to choose the first half for this one, so you'll be able to see that. But like I was saying earlier, just before you guys get out of here, is that the Tottenham podcast and rewatch is going to be with James B. He's going to be on that with me for both of the shows. And so if you want access to those 2 shows, you will need to be a patron for it. And it's $4. But if you can't do it, no worries. There's still going to be tons of content on this channel, player ratings, watch along for the North London Derby, daily streams. Unless we're, you know, playing, you guys know you're getting daily streams from me around 4 p.m. UK time. So yeah, that is kind of like an update on the channel. And if you guys want to become a patron, the link is pinned in the comments and it's also in the description box. I enjoyed the hell out of today, y'all. I enjoyed the hell out of today. You guys were on form. You guys were amazing, and you guys performed just like Arsenal, a 4-0. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this stream and being involved in the channel. I do really appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Content coming. I'll keep you guys updated, but tomorrow we go again, 4 p.m. stream, live here, talking the most recent Arsenal news and transfer news, so make sure you guys are here. Super enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.